So basically, if you ask me what it's all about, I would say it is tongue-in-cheek. And it's not to be taken too seriously.
It's 1991. Freddie Mercury walks into the studio, bones aching, body failing, but voice still unstoppable. He stands in front of the mic, black and white cameras rolling, and delivers his last performance like he's got forever to live. But the truth? He only had days. For years, Freddie kept a secret that would have crushed most people. The world saw a rock god. But behind the lights, he was battling something bigger than fame, bigger than music, AIDS. And he kept it locked away until the very end. Not for sympathy, not for headlines, but for peace. This is the real story of Freddie Mercury's final days and how the boy from Zanzibar became one of the greatest to ever touch a mic. Before the world knew his name, he was Farrokh Bulsara, born in 1946 on the island of Zanzibar. He had Indian roots, Zoroastrian beliefs, and one wild gift: a voice built like a rocket. 4 extra teeth? Yeah, he thought that's what gave him that insane vocal range. And maybe he was right. At 8, he was already writing songs. At 12, he formed his first band. By 17, his whole world flipped when his family fled political violence and landed in gray, rainy England. From tropical sunshine to cold streets overnight. But instead of breaking, he adapted. Studied art by day, played music by night, hustled at Kensington Market with future bandmate Roger Taylor. Style? Impeccable. Vision? Even bigger. Then in 1970, fate linked him up with Brian May and Roger. They were in a band called Smile. Freddie had ideas, big ones, bigger than what they were doing. He didn't just join the band, he transformed it. He renamed it Queen. And just like that, Farrokh Bulsara became Freddie Mercury. He designed the logo, he crafted the look, he brought drama, elegance, fire. And when Queen finally locked in with John Deacon on bass, everything clicked. But Queen didn't blow up overnight. Their first gigs were small. Studio time came at midnight. They were broke, barely scraping by, recording when the big names left the room. And still, they kept going. In 1975, Freddie showed up with a song no one understood. No chorus, 6 minutes, opera in the middle. Nobody believed it would work. But Bohemian Rhapsody changed the game. It stayed #1 for 9 weeks. It wasn't just a hit, it was a revolution. And Freddie, he wasn't just a singer anymore. He was a showman, strutting on stage like he owned the planet. He broke mic stands and made it iconic. He wore crowns, capes, leather, heels, whatever he felt like. He made it okay to be different. More than okay, he made it powerful. But with the spotlight came shadows. By the early 80s, Queen was selling out stadiums. Tracks like We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, and Another One Bites the Dust turned them into global icons. Behind the scenes, Freddie was living fast. Private jets, wild parties, and every luxury you can think of. But something started to shift. In 1986, after a massive tour, Queen took a step back. And in the silence, Freddie got news that changed everything. He had AIDS. But instead of retreating, he locked in. He kept creating, kept recording. Even as his body weakened, his voice kept showing up. One of his final performances, "These are the days of our lives." You can see it in his eyes. The pain, the truth. But he never says a word. The video's in black and white, not just for art, but to hide what was happening. He stopped all treatments except for pain relief. And then, on November 23, 1991, he finally told the world he was sick. He had AIDS, and just 24 hours later, he was gone. But here's what makes Freddie different. He never asked to be a hero. He didn't want pity. What he wanted was to leave art behind, music that lit people up, songs that made you feel something. And he did that to the very last breath. Freddie Mercury didn't go out quiet. He went out with a roar. He lived bold, sang louder, loved harder, and refused to let anyone tell him what box to fit in. So when you hear his voice today, crashing out of a speaker, echoing across a stadium, remember this: that ain't just music, that's legacy.